Hello, everyone, and happy World Afro Day. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the 8th anniversary, so 8 years of the Global Day of Celebration and Liberation for Afro Hair and Identity. Why is our hair worth celebrating? We will be finding out about that with my special guests. And also, let's be grateful. Why should we be grateful for the afro textured hair that we have in all of its forms? We'd love you to be putting your words in the comments so we can hear what you think as well. So, we are going to be celebrating with everyone watching, everyone who's been a part of this movement, the millions who follow World Afro Day, and the millions who still need to know about World Afro Day. This day is for everyone. Now, I have some very special guests who are going to be joining me in a little while. But first of all, we'd really like to look back at the great week that we've had, remind ourselves of our epic cause heading to Parliament. So let's have a look at that. So we headed to Parliament, and it really was a special milestone because it's about 8 years of like hard work and 8 years of really sharing this message that our hair should be valued and it shouldn't be discriminated against. So we were really happy to get to Parliament. So I would love to introduce you to my special guest today. We have Georgina Wilson. She is the CEO of Bud Leaders, and she's also our diversity in business expert. Welcome, Georgina. We've got Jade Buffong-Phillips. She's an entrepreneur extraordinaire and also the founder of Main Hookup. We've also got Guylaine Conquet. She's a visual artist, Afro advocate, and the initiator of the current French hair law, which is going through their parliamentary system. And also our lovely cousin, our friend, our helper, our supporter, Tashara Parker. She's a 4 times Emmy award-winning journalist, also a Crown Act advocate and founder of Loud Women Lead. So hopefully they are all with me right now. And if any of you've got some questions for them, comments for them later on, we can come back to those. Drop those on LinkedIn or on YouTube. Ladies, you'd like to say hello?
Hello, bonjour.
Hey.
Hello, everyone.
So I'd love to talk to you all at the same time, but there's too much fabulousness on the screen. So I'm going to have to split you up into groups. So first of all, if I could just start with Tashara Parker and Guylaine.
Yes.
And I'll come back to my other ladies in a little while. So, Tashara and Guylaine. Brilliant. Lovely to see you. So let's start with you, Tashara, because, well, both of you really, we often must get this question as well, is Afro hair political? And in some ways, we're changing laws. So can you both give me your answer as to whether Afro hair is political?
I think the short answer for me would be absolutely. We wouldn't have to change laws if it wasn't political. Here in the United States, obviously, you guys know that we're pushing for the Crown Act, and I've testified a few times on behalf of it in Texas. And thank goodness, in our state of Texas, we finally got it passed in our statewide. However, I think when you ask, is it political? The fact that we have to go to Congress, the fact that we have to testify, the fact that we have to have these conversations, and laws surrounding hair completely answers that question, that it's certainly political. And I think when you start to have people that are having issues with your hair, when you're going to apply for a job, or you're taking your kid to school, your child to school, and they're being told that their hair can't be a certain way, it has to be a certain length, it can't have locks or braids, or it runs the gamut of things that people will come up with about our hair, and the fact that it shouldn't look the way that it looks and how it grows out of our head. And so I think the short answer to that is absolutely. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't political. And I think the fight is just beginning, because we got a long way to go in a lot of places.
And you, Guylaine, what are your thoughts? You're also doing a political move concerning our hair.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, Guylaine.
Yes, some questions?
So is Afro hair political?
Yes, it is. Thank you for having me first, Michelle. It's an honor for me being with you. And Tashara, I love your hair. So yes, of course, it's political. It's not only political. We know it's health. It's a question of economy. It's a question of identity. But yes, for sure, it's political. We've been to the French Congress with this law. And Michelle, I know your name is on this, French law, who went through the French Congress. So, yeah, it has to be political, because it shouldn't be, but we have to do things to defend ourselves, and if we have to go through laws, so let's go through laws.
But is it not unjust, ladies, that everybody else on the planet, the hair growing out the head is non-political, but the hair growing out of our head is political?
Of course it is.
Yeah, I certainly think it's unjust. Absolutely.
Anyway, we're doing our bit to change it, aren't we?
Yes. Doing our best. And everyone who's watching can help us with it for sure.
Yeah, it's so true. So, Tashara, the Crown Act has gone, as the Americans often do, they've gone first with these laws. Why is it so important, and why has it taken us the 21st century to get to this point, do you think?
Yeah, it's really sad. And I always have to make sure I give a shout out to the ladies who created the Crown Act, Audre Biasamoa, who wrote the bill and did all of the work to make it happen in and around the United States, and really kind of push to get people more involved. And it was 4 ladies who created it. And so one of the things that I always like to say when I post something or I share something online about the work that's still being done to get the Crown Act passed, and people are asking that same question, like, how I cannot believe we are sitting here still having this conversation, to your point, in the 21st century. And people are so shocked and surprised. The ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union here in Texas, actually did a study not too long ago. And they went through the school dress code policies of several districts and schools across the state of Texas, and found that some of those schools still had policies in place that basically discriminated against some children for their hair and how they wear it, some gender-based stereotypes as well, and discriminatory practices were out there. And it's just insane that we're still having this conversation. I wish we didn't have to have it, but I'm thankful that there are people like all of us on this Zoom call, all of us, StreamYard call, I should say, all of us watching at home, that are still trying to fight to make sure that our children, that folks who are trying to apply for jobs, don't have to go through some of the same things that a lot of people have been going through for decades and centuries even. And so, I hate that we have to have the conversation in the 21st century, but obviously we're here on World Afro Day, the 8th annual World Afro Day, to do exactly that. And honestly, I'm gonna keep pushing until we get this thing passed across the country. And obviously whatever I can do to help you guys across the pond too.
Thank you so much. And you, Guylaine?
What was the question regarding the Crown Act?
Yeah, no, it's really about, do you think, why is it taken so long for us to get to this point?
Because we have to realize that, we've been brainwashed since we were little. We've been brainwashed to figure out ourselves before the other figure out ourselves. How it was hard. journey personally started when I was a TV presenter, and I always thought since I was little that to be attractive, to be professional, to be pretty on television, so I need to wear straightened hair. So when I realized that, I did my research, I had to do some, and talking about the Crown Act, when I did the research, I found out there were a law named Crown Act to protect us. So no, of course, it takes a long time because even in our family, even in people who are surrounding us, we don't know. So we have to. It's a process. It takes time. It's a process, and we have to educate people. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm working with the full-time county schools, and I'm going to school and tell them about our hair identity through my story and through my art. So I'm teaching them, how I've been from my pencil brushes to advocate and finish, at the French Congress. So it takes a long time, to do this journey, and hopefully and thankfully we have people like you, girls who, push the, I don't know how you say that in English, but who try to make things happen, and we're raising awareness.
Yeah. And Guylaine, I just have to piggyback off of that. I didn't realize that you and I had so much in common as TV presenters and I'm a news anchor, all the things, right? And when I first got into the business as well on TV, I wore my hair straight. In fact, I wore a wig because even in college, I was told that in order to be successful, you're probably going to have to straighten your hair. That's what's deemed beautiful. I'll never forget when we had what we call here consultants to come in and look at, how we were dressing, how we were wearing our hair, and things like that. And when you look in the book of the presentation of how this news presenter, this news anchor should look, all of those hairstyles were straight hairstyles. It was not any kinky, curly, anything. And so to hear you have that exact same experience as far as when you first got into the business, it's just wild to see it. We've certainly made leaps and bounds toward trying to get that acceptance. But to your point, even within our own families, there's a lot of education that has to happen. I remember when I went back home from college with my afro for the first time, and my grandmother saw my afro. And she's like, "Are you going to get your hair done? Are you going to get your hair?" And I was like, it is fixed.
It doesn't have to be fixed.
I agree with you. There's so much education that has to happen, even with our own communities.
And talking about the Crown Act, they were pioneer before me, before I understood what happened. So they were pioneer. So yes, I did. I was inspired by the Crown Act, and I would like to thank Mr. Olivier Serva, who is the lawmaker, who he listened to me, he helped me to push this law at the French Parliament, and we did it at the Congress. And France is the first country in the world to address this topic at a national level, because we don't have states. So we are very proud of that. Yeah. And we've been helped. One of the, one of the architects of the Crown Act is Professor Wendy Green. So I'm an artist. I'm a journalist. I'm an artist. I didn't know nothing in law. So I reached out with her, and she helped us to understand, because France and US, we don't have the same law. We don't have the concept of race. Yeah. So she helped us to understood, how you did it in US in order to, make the law in France.
Nice.
So I would like to thank those people and those pioneers like you. You've been working, Michelle, 8 years. So congratulations to you, and congratulations for all the ones who were there before us. And
Absolutely.
So, Guylaine, can I ask you on that point? The French law is so different because it doesn't recognize race. How did you feel about that? And also, there's a lot of political uncertainty in France at the moment. Give us an update on what's happening with the French law.
So the French law was passed into March 28th. this year. So, and like in US, we have to go to the Senate process. We have to go to the senator. So I spoke to Mr. Serva this morning, just to have an update, a fresh update. He told me that, so now they're working to find, they already have 2 or 3 senators. They're willing to push the law in the Senate for us. So we have, so there were some discussion right now. And yes, of France, there are some uncertainty. That's what you said in English? Okay. So we just had a first minister. So he said he's still expecting to have this law in at the end of the year, if not, probably beginning of the year. But he reassured me that the law is going to be presented at the Senate pretty soon. He's working hard on it.
But and can I ask, so this process that you're going through has happened in the States, and I think it's been turned down. Has it been turned down twice, Tashara, at the Senate?
Yes, at this point.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts in terms of how your Senate will view the law? Guylaine.
Sorry, how the Senate?
Yeah, I said, what do you think the Senate will view the law in France?
But we're going to try to convince them. So, as you said, Michelle, the concept of race doesn't exist in France. So, how can you bring a hair discrimination law? For race doesn't exist. So that was really what the point, and that's what we worked on with Professor Green and Mr. Serva and the other person who worked around this law. What we did, in fact, that we realized that discrimination here is not only for Black people. It's not a question of race. So we present it like this. So when you're blonde, you have hair discrimination too. Of course, it's a little, percentage, but you still have discrimination. And we had testimony of blonde people. They said that they couldn't get a raise or, promotion in the job because they were blonde. And blonde is, considered, futile or not very smart women. So when you're bold, you can be discriminated to a job. When you have gray hair, sometimes they ask you to cover your hair because you look too old for the job. So when you have red hair, so there's many ways to discriminate hair. Not only our hair, it's their hair too. So we have to make the law more inclusive in order to make this law acceptable. But of course, everybody knows that the hair discrimination really is our hair, it's our hair texture.
Yeah. So I've started to reflect on, these legal changes that were happening. And I'm viewing it that the natural hair movement has to evolve to the legal hair movement. What are your thoughts both on that?
You said the natural hair movement has to evolve to the legal hair movement. I never thought about it that way, but I think that's something that we've been doing, right? So with the Crown Act, with what Guylaine is doing and with what you're doing as well, Michelle, I think we probably didn't put the words to it, but I certainly feel like it's been a legal hair battle for quite some time, and that's why we're at the point that we're at right now. And I do think, starting to remember and reflect on how far we've come, and obviously remembering how far we still have to go too. So I certainly think that if attaching those words solidifies what we've already been doing as far as calling it legal hair movement.
And we started as well this week. We headed to Parliament. I think we've got some pictures of us going to Parliament this week. What were your thoughts when you heard about us going to Parliament this week?
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Really, that's amazing. That was a very, very good news. And I love your slogan, fix the law, not our hair. And, I think French, I mean, all those government probably, I'm not a specialist, but they look at each other. They look at what happened. I've been inspired by what happened in US. You were the premier. And I'm sure the British Parliament, they look what happened in France too. And they say, France did something that probably we should, I'm not saying it's because of the French law, but probably it has probably an influence too. When this law has been passed in France, all the media in the world talked about it. India, Al Jazeera, Poland, Spain, you're everywhere in the world. They were speaking about that because it was unique. So I think it's very good, to continue to spread the word and to push those governments to move.
And I just want to congratulate you, Michelle, too, because I know that it is not, we all know it is not easy. And trying to track down someone to sign on with you and get this thing heard, right? It takes a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of work on both parts, right? To continue to push this thing forward the way that it needs to be pushed. And so congratulations to you. Congratulations to your team. I've seen you in action. I know you don't play, and I know you try to get things done. So yes, congratulations. It's a lot of work ahead, but to even get to this point, to have this conversation, to be at Parliament, like that's a really, really big deal. And I hope you're proud of yourself and your entire team for the work you've done thus far.
Thank you so much. This is why I'm starting to talk about the legal hair movement, because we know this is for the whole diaspora. And as Guylaine says, we're hoping these influential nations like America, France, and the UK will kind of wake up everybody that this is something that has to be done. Because in the interviews this week, I'm saying, well, if you're protecting against discrimination against skin, why are you saying that hair is any different? Why are you differentiating? If we are experiencing discrimination because of our hair texture, it's the same legal intervention that needs to happen. So I think we're all working to on the same message that our hair needs protecting. So let's believe it's going to get done. 2025 is going to be a great year.
Yes.
So
we'll be having a kind of conversation next year. I promise.
2025. So I'm going to come back to you two in a minute, but thank you so much for giving me your time and your support and your love, and I will come back and talk to you in a minute.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we also have some other beautiful, wonderful, powerful women in the house, Georgina Wilson and Jade Buffong-Phillips. I think they are with us. They're coming in any minute now. Hi, Jade.
Hey.
Hi, Georgina.
Hello.
Let's just pick up from where I left off with our other ladies. What were your reactions to seeing our work in Parliament this week?
I think it's amazing to see that there's that progress that's happening. Like I said, we're far from the end of the battle, but to be here and to know that we're going through that process of this is actually being taken seriously by the people that have the power to make the change, that's amazing progress. And it's testament to all the work that you've been doing, Michelle, and getting World Afro Day and your team to that place where you're able to have those conversations with those people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm so proud of you, Michelle, but also not just for the work that you're doing. I'm proud of us, the fact that, these things are happening and we've decided that we're not going to be quiet, that we're not just going to allow it to continue, and we're actually going to do something. Our voices are going to be heard, and there has to be change. And we're saying we need it to change, and we're going to do something about it. So yeah, it really warms my heart seeing you there. Really as a representation for us, and yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. And anyone else who saw us this week, please, just drop your comments, anything that, what was your reaction? How did it feel to you? What were your thoughts when you saw that finally Parliament was going to be talking about Afro hair discrimination? Georgina, if I can start with you, it's also, we're talking to parliamentarians, but also we want CEOs and boards to take notice. What do you think companies might have been thinking when they saw, us going to Parliament this week?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, because I wonder if they are actually even thinking. and what I mean by that is that there's such a lack of understanding and awareness around what it means to have your hair discriminated against for people that don't have Afro hair, that I don't even really know if it's fully on their radar, which is actually a shame, because like you said earlier on, the Equalities Act clearly talks about race, but the Afro hair discrimination is really a war on our identity. It's a war on our heritage, and it's become so normal for it to be this thing where it's accepted that we should be presented in a certain way, that I don't even know if they're even really thinking, oh. So I feel like it would have been maybe a shock to the system. Maybe some of them would be thinking, oh gosh, here's another thing for us to have to do now, in all reality, because I've worked with several organizations where it's just a tick box exercise. But it shouldn't be. This is the reality of accepting people as they are. And that's all we're asking for, really. Can you just accept me the way that I was born and say that it's okay? And we shouldn't be fighting for that. But yeah.
I think it's such a good point that you're making, that if you even take it away from racism and talking about belonging and acceptance, because when you say we cannot turn up the way that we are already made, it's a complete rejection of us as a human being. You're saying you are not acceptable to us, and that's soul destroying, and that's something they really need to get their heads around.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even just, some of the previous conversation that you're having with Tashara, actually recognizing that the awareness, and even the way that some of us have even thought about, how we should present ourselves, this has all been embedded in society. This is kind of structural, systemic racism at its core, saying that we have to change. As was stated, 98% of us think if we're going to go into the workplace, we've got to present ourselves differently, right, to who we actually are. That is absolutely ridiculous. It shouldn't be the case. So I think we really need to bring that full awareness and bring it home for us to recognize that it does need to be different. But there's something I would say, Michelle, about the education, because I think there's such a lack of understanding around, why is it wrong? How do we need to start to embrace Afro hair and accept people for who they are? Because we've just gone for so long thinking that it's bad, that it's this thing that's wrong. And why should we accept that? We need to really put the foot down and say, no, it isn't. But it has to start really in society. One of the biggest places is work, because we spend most of our lives in work, right? And if we can't turn up to work as we are and have, feel that you have to change, then that says a lot about trying to be inclusive. And actually, as you said, that whole kind of belonging and the cultures that exist in the workplace that really need to be dismantled.
And this is why the law doesn't work, for anyone who's listening that doesn't have Afro hair. The law says race. When a company, an employer, looks at us and says our hair doesn't work, they think our hair is unprofessional. I think it's got nothing to do with race. They think neat, tidy, professional. They have no idea that's steeped in a racial lens of Eurocentrism. They don't realize that that's got anything to do with it. So this is why the law doesn't work regarding race, because they're thinking, well, I'm just saying, turn up to work looking professional, turn up to work looking neat, turn up to work looking all these things that actually are completely associated with straight European appearance. So you're so right about the education piece and why the law actually doesn't work, because there's a disassociation with appearance being something that's about race. They think appearance is something that's to do with a professional appearance, which we're excluded from. Like naturally, the hair growing out of our head, we've been excluded from looking professional. professional, which is so discriminatory. Jade, if I would love to come to you now, it's not just about external, is it, Jade? It's not just about the companies and the government. We have our own understanding that needs to happen. You focus on Black women and their hair. What difference do you think the law's going to make to our own community and you personally?
I think a lot of addressing these laws and making sure that there are practices in place to prevent that type of discrimination. It will go a long way to reduce the amount of anxiety that people feel around their appearance in spaces that they should really be focused just on their performance. So whether you think about people that are going to work or children that are going to school, or even people that are taking part in professional sports, those are places where they should be going in and thinking, how do I turn up to a space to do my best work, my best job, the best kind of performance in my sport? They shouldn't be having to carry the weight of, am I going to look the way that people expect me to look? It's like carrying a heavy burden, a heavy weight of other people's expectation, and having a law in place that prohibits that type of discrimination in the first place means that you don't have to think about that. Half the time when people are thinking about how do I style my hair in the morning, it might not be what their personal preference is with their hair. It's like, oh, how people can receive this, whether they have natural hair, or even when people are choosing to do things like lock their hair. If somebody loves the look of locks, they may actually say, as much as I love it, is this going to cause me issues when I go into workplace? Is this going to cost me a promotion? Is this going to cost me the ability to be taken seriously? So as much as I love it personally, let me just not go there, because that's more headache than I'm willing to take on. And people shouldn't have to have those conversations with themselves. So I feel like it will lift a lot of that anxiety and that feeling, that nervousness.
I think it will give us permission to realize that we are good enough with our own hair. Do you think the law will help us kind of accept ourselves?
I think it's the kind of, because some of that is actually, there are still things within our own community that we need to address. As much as the law is important, there's also work to be done on the way a lot of people perceive our hair, like the way that we perceive our hair even. So I think it was Tashara that mentioned, when she had a conversation with her grandmother, and she said, when are you gonna get your hair done? It is done. We're still having those conversations within our own community, and I think that there's a lot of work to be done there, as well as with the law. Like, the law will help. But what we really need is to be able to say that our hair, that as it grows naturally out of our scalp, is enough. And it does look professional, it does look stunning, it is for every occasion. You don't have to get your hair straightened for, I don't know, like the day of your wedding or your best friend's birthday. There's also that kind of separation of, our hair is enough for certain spaces, but in other spaces absolutely not. And so it's like lifting that barrier so that we can say, actually, it's for everywhere, in every occasion, in every state. And so I think that there's still a lot of work to be done there, but the law will definitely help in nudging us in the right direction.
What about our spending power when it comes to Afro hair and the products we are buying? This is another area the law could actually help, because we've asked Parliament as one of the things to investigate the composition, the potential harm of some Afro hair products, which research shows has much more higher levels of toxic and endo-disrupting chemicals compared to other products. Do you think consumers are aware of the potential risks of products like relaxers and other hair products? Are our own consumers aware?
I think there's the beginnings of that type of awareness, but nowhere near enough as there should be. Black women spend, I think, 4 to 5 times more on hair and beauty than women of any other race. So we're also more likely to be exposed by the amount that we consume. Just purely on the fact that we consume more, we'll have more exposure, whether they are good or bad products. And so with that amount of spending power, especially considering hair is also such a huge part of our culture, the need for those products isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And I don't think that many people are aware of the implications of using some of the more harmful products or even the ingredients that we couldn't avoid. There are chemical treatments that aren't as harsh as, say, relaxers, like texturizers or texture releases, but relaxers are still popular, and I think they're kind of like starting to become like on the rise as of late. So even that demonstrates that if people are going back to them, then that means that education may not be there, that knowledge will not be there. And there's a long way to go in terms of like curbing those habits and making sure that if people do choose to straighten their hair or use other types of chemicals, they're doing it in a way that's safer. I think consumers should absolutely be aware of those issues so they can make more well-informed decisions. But we've got a long way to go before product companies are actually going to do that for us. So in the meantime, it's about education within the industry. It's about using great apps like Think Dirty, where you can scan a product and it gives you a list of all of the helpful and harmful ingredients. So there's like workarounds for it in the meantime. But I do think there's a long way to go before product companies are actually being very explicit about, okay, these things are great for this reason, or you want to consider maybe, these, even though there may be some chemicals that aren't amazing, maybe they're in a lesser proportion. So we've got a way to go before we have that level of transparency if we get to that point.
And as a panelist, how many of us have worn relaxers? And do you think any kind of health warnings on a relaxer product might be helpful? Georgina, both of you, either one?
Yeah, in actual fact, I've had my natural hair probably for about 7 years now. And I literally got my first relaxer when I was 12. So do the math. I was doing it continuously. And then I just started to grow my hair out, and I've just been wearing protective styles and having my natural hair. And I love my hair. What I recognize is that I was never able to really embrace my natural hair until I just started to really accept that this is part of my heritage, and it's actually really beautiful. And I say to my daughter every day, I was like, our hair is the biz. Like, we've got the most beautiful hair. Like, let's just embrace it. And I think, as you were saying earlier on, that thing around recognizing that we've been lied to for our whole lives and unlearning this thing around natural hair not being professional, not looking nice, and just recognizing that we're actually really, really beautiful, and our hair is included in that, and that's okay. Like, it's okay for us to accept that beauty. So I don't think I'd ever go back to relaxing my hair. I just can't do it. My natural hair is actually down to about here.
Wow.
And I absolutely love it.
When you look after it, it does its thing.
It does.
And you, Jade?
Yeah, I relaxed my hair for about, I want to say 11 years. And then I stopped in about 2018, 2019, and I also wouldn't go back. I went through the process of trying to understand how to better manage my natural hair. And actually, that's kind of where Main Hookup was born, off of the fact that I wanted to find a hairstylist that could teach me how to manage my hair so that I didn't ruin it in between going and seeing them. I think there's a huge thing of also saying, I need help. Like, when you get to that stage of being ready to embrace your hair, it's okay to say, actually, I don't know what to do. I don't know what products, what practices are best for my hair in order for me to look after it, and go and find those people who can support you. If we have that education circling around the community, then that means there are more people that are more likely to want to choose to look after their natural hair because they feel well equipped to do so.
Yeah, we do. I think we really need to support each other on the journey, whatever place people are at. They and you can't always judge people who are in a wig. They might be actually on their natural hair journey underneath the wig. They might have alopecia. It's not about that. It's about creating an environment where we can flourish with our natural hair. And if we choose to do something else, then that is a second choice, because what we have is not discriminated against. What we have, we're completely free to wear without any kind of barriers. And we're just we're not in that place. And we have to create a world where we have the same freedoms as other people. You know, that's why the law is so required. We do not have freedom. We are people of African descent, and our bodies are judged as inferior through our hair texture. So I'd love anyone else in the comments just to say what, you know, would they think that warnings on hair products would be helpful? So at least if if you haven't read an article about it, there would be something to indicate that might be a health risk involved. Yeah, let us know what you think about that. So thank you, my esteemed panelists, Georgina and Jade. Please stay around and I will be coming back to you. So this year we really are kind of looking out to the community to help with the change, especially when it comes to the law, because the more voices that we can bring into this, the more it will alert the government and MPs that this is an issue that affects 95% of our community. When we asked them in research, said that they wanted this law. So we're actually representing all of you. And one of the ways that we did that in the media this week is called our 100 Voices, 100 Words campaign. And it was really about asking influential people and everyday people, actually, what were the 100 words that would mean, what does it mean to them to change the law? And this week we've had Mel B, Beverly Knight, Patrick Hutchinson, Fleur East, Evelyn Ford, MBE, Professor Patrick Vernon, Sarah-Jane Crawford. We've had all these names who've given their loads more, up to 100. Also special thanks to Sarah-Jane Crawford, who's been out with me this week, juggling live childcare to represent World Afro Day at Parliament and in the media and interviews. Really just making people aware that this is a really important issue that's just been overlooked, and we really want the change to happen now. I'd love to share a little bit of Mel B's 100 words with you, because what's good about Mel B taking the time, she actually really went in. She probably gave us the longest 100, I think it's well more than 100 words, but it meant something to her. She really wanted to share her heart, share her experience, share her family experience, and say, you know, this is a really important campaign that I want to support. So I'm just going to read her 100 words. So this is from Mel B from the Spice Girls. My hair has always been a personal statement all my life. I grew up a mixed race girl in a working class Leeds in the 1970s. Kids at school had no idea what to call me. I was different. And I had my big, wild, curly hair that stood out. It wasn't neat and tidy. There was too much of it to fit into the elastic hairbands, and I wore it out. I got called names, I got singled out, but it was my hair and I wasn't going to change it for anyone. The first video shoot I did as the Spice Girl for Wannabe, the stylist took one look at my hair and told me it had to be straightened. My big hair didn't fit into the pop star mold, but I stood my ground, backed by my girls, and I sang and danced as me with my big hair, my brown skin, and I was totally proud of who I was. I had no idea the impact that video would have on thousands of little brown and black girls all over the country. Even today, women still come up to me and tell me they stopped straightening their hair. They let their hair curls shine out in the playground everywhere as they finally got to have a place in a girl band and in the playground. That makes me so proud. I love my curls. I have 3 children with big curly hair, and all of them take pride in their hair, their identity and their culture. I always know that sometimes they have faced issues with their hair as I did. We are who we are, and no one should try to discriminate or change us. So yes, I'm proud to support World Afro Day in its call for the Equality Act to protect against Afro hair discrimination in the UK. So we love that statement from Mel B, and we are so thankful to her and everybody else who just put their words to paper and said this has to happen. So it's not only Mel B, a really important person behind the scenes is our special thanks to Paulette Hamilton MP. And I just had one conversation with her, one email, And the next thing I know, she's backed our campaign to go to Parliament. And she's pledged to continue supporting us to change the law to protect Afro hair. And what I love about World Afro Day, it isn't a race thing. It isn't a black and white thing. It's a doing the right thing. And my own MP, he is called Liam Conlon. He's a white male, and he exactly the same. One email, and he was backing our campaign all the way. So, you know, you can read what he had to say about it as well. He's unreservedly saying, what can I do to support you to get this to happen? So I'm just really thankful that both of them, and when we went to Parliament, other MPs, again, you know, either from personal experience or also from recognising this is an important thing that they want to support. So over the next few weeks, we're really looking forward to, you know, communicating with more MPs to see how many of them can come forward to help support our campaign. So I'll just go to the website to say, it's not just about us. If you think about it, we're a few voices, but there are 3 million Black and mixed parentage people in Britain. I don't know if you guys were aware of that, but I personally wasn't. I actually had to go into the statistics on the website and say, how many Black people are there? How many mixed parentage people are there from Black African descent? And the fact is, there are 3 million of us. So actually, if we all write to our MPs, that will be really powerful. So if we can just show on the website, Mariah, if you go onto our website in the public section, so we've got a campaign page and we've also got a public button, and that's for you, everybody listening here, listening further afield. You can go to our website, and if you don't know who your MP is, you just click find your MP, put in your postcode, and you can find out who your MP is. And then you can use this email template. Let me just check that that's there. So could you go into public, please? And that's it, the email template. You can use this email template and just add your own words to it and send that to your MP. And what I've found out doing this process is that your MP represents you. They represent your concerns, and they take your concerns much higher up. So, for example, if they decide to support your cause, they could make inquiries to the government minister on your behalf. So there's different ministers, you know, the equalities minister, there's education, there's business. So they could actually take your inquiries, they can support our campaign, gather with other MPs. They can raise it publicly in the House of Commons through questions, debates, motions, amendments. They can ask ministers during questions time to respond to this cause. So we really, all of us individually, have power in our hands, and think about what we can do if we use that power together. So I really encourage you to all go to the website, download your email template, and start sending your emails to your MP. So I know that I've never written to my MP before World Afro Day. If anyone's written to their MP, give me a yes or a no in your comments whether you've written to your MP before. But what a good time to write to your MP. You've got a real reason to write to your MP now. So let's hopefully more of us will be doing that. So I'd like to invite Dr. Charlene Makita on to the platform, please, because she has details of our special announcement.
Hello, everybody. Wow, thank you so much for inviting me to the live. What an incredible live, guys. How's everybody feeling? Well, I'm feeling inspired, feeling motivated. We've had amazing panelists just making a difference, amazing women just evoking change, which is incredible. But our amazing announcement is, yes, we have amazing women doing amazing things, but we have amazing supporters as well. And this is a chance for our amazing supporters to get involved. So we are actually launching Fix the Law, Not Our Hair t-shirts. I think it's about time. It's an incredible movement. So we definitely want t-shirts to embody that as well. And the purpose of these t-shirts, of course, it's not just a fashion statement, but you're actually wearing these shirts as a statement of power, a statement of unity, a statement of justice. And by purchasing these t-shirts, you're actually advocating for the fix the law, not our hair movement, and actually legal protection against Afro hair discrimination, a chance for you to actually express your natural hair without fear.
Yeah. And what's going to happen next? What are we going to do with these t-shirts?
Well, I'm glad you asked, but a month from now, October 15th, we're actually going to lobby to get everybody to get our shirts by October 15th. And it's a perfect time for us to raise awareness regarding this law. So we really want all our supporters to get these shirts. You can wear it at your schools, wear it in your offices, and it's definitely a chance for you to make a statement with these shirts. So yeah, that's essentially what we're going to be doing by October 15th. We really require everybody to have their shirts by then. We're going to take pictures and just really advocate for Fix the Law, Not Our Hair movement.
Yeah, because as you know, there's a legal process and it takes time. And what we don't want is all the publicity from this week to suddenly just disappear out of their brains. We have to keep it at the forefront. So if we all post and wear t-shirts on the same day with the same message, fix the law, not our hair, we will use that opportunity to hopefully have some feedback, because we're thinking that's a month since we spoke about this, over a month since we spoke about it in Parliament. We do want to make sure that we get some sort of responses from ministers and see what the government is going to do about this issue. So you really at home can really help with this when we start blasting out our fix the law, not our hair t-shirts. So we really appreciate. How would they get hold of the t-shirts, Charlene?
All right, so there is a link on this live at the moment, and you can also access the link on our Instagram. It is a basic Google form where you're going to input all of your details, and actually you can get a chance to actually see how the t-shirts look like and a chance for you to choose what you like the most. So the link will be on our live as well as our social media. So please input your details and we'll ship all of those shirts to you in time for October 15th. Really exciting, guys.
Thank you so much. So yeah, this is a new form of campaigning. We want you to be living billboards, walking around with your t-shirts and have conversations, because when you're wearing a message, that invites people to have a conversation. So hopefully you can use the t-shirt as a way to kind of advertise and just start to have conversations about why we want to do this. So thank you to everyone for, hopefully you will get your t-shirts and we'll all sort of unite on October 15th. Thank you so much, Charlene. So if I can invite all our panelists back, and also just anybody watching, if you've got any comments or questions that you feel you'd like to ask them, just comment below. I think we might be able to see them. How are we doing, Mariah, with any comments? Can we see any? Happy World Afro Day. Thank you. Everyone say Happy World Afro Day.
Happy World Afro Day. Sweden. Okay.
Happy World Afro Day, Sweden. Yeah. You'll know a bit more about this, Tashara.
Absolutely. Again, remember I mentioned the American Civil Liberties Union did a study of school policies. It wasn't referring to HBCU, historically Black colleges and universities. However, it was referring to grade level schools that children are in, and several of those policies still had these policies that are, quote, calling us unprofessional because of the hair that grows out of our heads. So she's absolutely correct, this profile is absolutely correct in what they mentioned about some schools still have those policies in place, and you really wouldn't even know that they were there until you go look through some of the policies they've been there for years, decades. No one's looked into it because, to the point that many of the panelists have already made, it's just been that way. We've been taught that our hair wasn't beautiful from birth. So absolutely right. And I am sure I would love to hear more about that Main Moves and where you found
Natasha Gaspar
still in play.
So Main Move is Natasha Gaspar. She's an advocate too. She's doing an incredible job. She's a TV producer. She's doing films, she's doing, she has an award
Beautiful.
because of her involvement in hair discrimination. So Natasha Gaspar, it's a main move.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Natasha.
It's good. It's good that I think we're just gonna have to keep talking about it until it gets done, isn't it? That's the reality of the situation. So, there's some of the comments at the bottom. Shout out to Farouk and Bonnie. They're fighting their good fight still. Yeah. So the schools, as we know, there's a situation in our schools, there's a situation in our workplaces, even in our mental health institutions. I've come across several professionals now who have said that you could be in a mental health institute, and because we don't wash our hair as often as Europeans wash their hair, it's seen as self-neglect, and we don't take care of ourselves, and it shows we've got they're correlating the amount that we wash our hair with our mental state. So it just can be in every aspect of society. So just detrimental to us.
That is wild. The conversation that you, Georgina and Jade was having earlier about whether or not they should have some type of label on some of these products and how detrimental they are. I literally wanted to jump through the screen and be like, just like they on tobacco products, they put that big label on there and they're like, this is bad for you. This could happen to you, all that stuff. I'm like, you need to put that on relaxers and all the things that have been damaging our hair and to some certain extent our health, right? I wholeheartedly believe some type of label should be out there on those products. Absolutely.
So Tashara, regarding the label, so there's a very interesting article on the New York Times in June this year. I don't know why I have this feedback. So there's a very good article that's talking about relaxing and how relaxing are killing Black women, cancer, uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, and breast cancer. And there's more than 9,000 lawsuits in the US against those chemical in those companies. And you're talking about label. So the legislation said that you can, on the label, there's only 20% of the product using in the relaxer. That's I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So the company they have to put only 20% of the product. So you have 80% of the product that you don't know that you're using that are not on the labels.
That is wild to hear. That is
so you don't know what you're putting in your hair.
Yeah. Well, I can speak specifically about that. All of those years when I was relaxing my hair grew the longest through there. And we all know, if we've had relaxer, we all know what happens when you try to get it out, and that alarm bell should be going off, in that situation.
Burning flesh.
Ultimately, that's what it is, right? And my hair has been the longest ever, and I've only been growing out for 7 years. So I had relaxer for over 20 years, and it would always break. That tells you so much about it. And we do need some more education. So I agree. We need to put labels on, and we need to be educating ourselves really around, what the impact is of continuing to use those products.
And also the fact that, we have texturizers for children, relaxers for children. I don't think any other children on the planet are exposed to the chemicals that our children are exposed to. Why are our children exposed to chemicals to straighten their hair? Why are they not just being protected? Sorry, parents, you can't relax your children's hair till they're 18, or you can't, because they're children. Let's put health first, not. Are you talking to me? I think we can hear you. Please speak, Jade.
Oh, sorry, that cut out for a second there for me. Could you repeat that?
Yes, we didn't hear you.
Oh no, I was just saying that I agree that that's insane that there isn't that level of protection for children. And also just the fact that I had no idea that people or companies didn't have to share 80% of their ingredients. I feel that that's absolutely wild. That we only know 20% of what is in the product can effectively only a fifth of it can be checked.
That is so problematic.
Yeah,
The rest is between the company and the formulator. That's not, that's not a good look, and that's not something that anybody. There's no community that should have to deal with that, but that's something that the hurdle that we have to overcome. And even with some of the apps and the tools that we have, even that can't recover that 80% that isn't revealed to us.
Right.
Yeah, if that's the case, then again, it's something that the Europe and Britain have much tighter laws around this. So I'd be interested to find out, are the American products, sorry guys, sneaking through the back door? Because you can't do that with UK and European products. You just can't do it.
You didn't open up the can.
Things you can't do it. So it's like, but what do they do regarding American products who have different regulation? Are they getting them to come up to our regulation, or are they just saying, oh, you can just send us your products?
It's what everyone has said. They're sliding in the back door with all of what they're doing, and it's just so bad. Like, why would that be okay for you not to have to provide the ingredients that someone is dealing with? And I know some labels on certain cosmetics and products will say, has not been run through the FDA. And I don't know the exact language of it, but you guys, that lingo, right? It's just so wild that this is, and there are so many people who don't even have these conversations or even know to have those conversations. You mentioned parents earlier and not relaxing or texturizing or what have you their children hair until they're 18, right? And I remember when I got my first perm, and I was sitting in the kitchen, and my grandmother was putting the perm on my hair, and I'll never forget. To your point, Georgina, my hair, like, I used to have big, beautiful hair. After that, child, it never grew like past my shoulder because it kept breaking off all the time after I was getting those perms. So, we got a lot of work to do. But we have a lot of people that can support us. You mentioned those numbers earlier, Michelle. There are a lot of people that can get involved with the work that's currently being done, and even just the education. Even if you have one conversation with your family at home, I think that's the starting point for any of us.
And you know what's been crazy? Like, when I've been interviewed this week, they said, "Are there any other countries that have done it?" And you're like, "There's like 2 Caribbean islands, small islands."
Yeah.
Not small island in the Jamaican versus small, but there are just 2 small islands in the Caribbean, Anguilla, and I can't remember the other one. Out of the whole African diaspora have not done this. So it's just, they all need to do it. Western nations, African, Caribbean, South American nations, wherever we are, we just need to recognize that this is something that needs to change. We have to value our own selves as well as asking other nations to value that the way that we are, fearfully, wonderfully made, with all of the hair that grows out our head, is more than enough for whatever we want to do in life.
Mm-hmm.
So as we wrap up, I'd love each and every one of us to just say what it is that they love about their hair and why they're grateful for having us. Don't be shy. Who's going first? Jade.
Okay, I'll go first. What do I love about my hair? I love that I can do so many different things with my hair. I think like the diversity of our hair is one of the joys of it. You know, if you want to have braids, twists, you want to have your natural hair, you know, even if you wanted to test locks with faux locks, I love the fact that there are so many different things that we can do. Was that, hold on, I feel like there were 2 parts to the question. That was part 1. What was the second part?
Why are you grateful?
Oh, why am I grateful? I'm grateful for the fact that, why am I grateful? I'm grateful for the fact that I've learned how to look after my hair. That was a journey. Not an easy one at times, but I'm really grateful for the experience. You have to be really patient, and also it teaches you how to just love your hair as it is, and get to a point where you're not trying to cover it up, and you can walk into a room and feel like very happy and comfortable with the way that you look as you are. And it's an experience that you have to go through when you're going back to your natural hair, especially when you've relaxed it for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guylaine, what do you love and why are you grateful for having Afro
Now, because before I didn't like my hair, but I like the fact that you can change the texture. You can have an afro, you can have braids. I mean, that's the only one kind of hair in the world who can do that. And now, my exhibition are named From Embarrassment to Pride. So now I feel so empowered with my hair. I feel beautiful. I feel strong. And for me, it's really a question of self-acceptance and self-love. So yeah, if I love my hair, I love me. So.
and Georgina?
Yeah, I think probably similar to what others have mentioned, but I think it's such a unique style of hair. I just love the way that you can do so many different things with it. My favorite is the twist outs, just literally sitting there. I love like putting, the water spray in and doing all that stuff and then just twisting it out. And it's just beautiful. I think, as I said, I didn't used to feel like this, but the more I continue to play around with different styles and speak with my friends about it and watch different video tutorials. I'm like, yes, our hair is just, as I said earlier on, the biz. And I think there is something really, really empowering when you have your natural hair out, because there's something about saying, I am unapologetically me. When I walk into this room, this is who I am. And I'm very happy with the way that I am. And because it's big as well, I'm like, I'm bold, I'm brave, and I'm beautiful. And take me or leave me, but I accept who I am. And I think, yeah, just that embracing your identity and allowing our hair to speak really on our behalf is incredible.
I love that. And Tashara, you've got a couple of award-winning films about this subject.
I do. I agree with what everyone has said. It's, to me, so much identity tied into our hair. And the minute that we choose to embrace who we are, and to everyone else's point, walk into that room, you own it every single time. It's something about walking in there with that afro, with those locks, with those braids. And anyone who has watched me in Texas, in the state of Texas, and maybe some across America, know that I switch my hair very often on TV. And there was a time when I was afraid to do that when I first got into this business. Now I've been in 10 years. But there was a time when I was afraid to do that. And I mean, nowadays you'll see me every month that I might have a different hairstyle on TV. And I just got out of my last job. So I've been doing a whole lot of different stuff with my hair lately. But I'm just saying there was a time where I was afraid to do it. So I think I am grateful for the opportunity just to be able to lean into all those different hairstyles. And again, as so many people have mentioned, there's so much versatility in our hair. I might straighten it one day. I might wear my afro the next week. So it just depends on how I'm feeling that month. So I just love that we can do so much, and it just makes me so happy and so joyful that we continue to have these conversations.
Yeah. Mine is I think it just has to echo the wonder of different things that we can do. I mean, if you could even think about trying to count how many hairstyles you have throughout your lifetime, it's thousands. It's such a joy to. It's like an adventure, isn't it? Our hair is an adventure, because sometimes you may pick that hairstyle, but it comes out like this. So you're not even sure how it's going to come out. And there's the amazing different ways we can change it up. I'm incredibly grateful that it's become a mission in my life. It's become something to share, something to encourage, something to empower, something to connect people all over the world. So that's become such a blessing to me, that although on the surface it might seem like I'm having to fight for something or change something that's been negative, actually it's been a privilege to actually change that and to bring people together to change it. So I'm incredibly grateful for that, and to meet all of you guys as well. So before we go, I'd obviously like to thank my team, Mariah Hampton, who's literally, she's pulling all the strings behind the scenes, Dojin, who couldn't be here, Mickey, who couldn't be here, Charlene, you saw earlier, Sarah-Jane Crawford, who's been out working on our behalf as well. Just really, from the bottom of my heart, I don't know you guys that well. Only in the last few months, in the last few weeks, I've met some of you. But you've just really taken up the cause, and we've made progress. You know, we got to Parliament, and that's just the beginning of change. So I just welcome anyone who's watching, listening, to not let the fire burn out, not let it die down, and actually, you know, how many of you watching feel inspired to do something? Actually, not just to be a witness, but to actually know that you can do something personally, whether it's, I forgot to mention, you can also go onto the website, and there's a section for schools. So you can encourage your child's school to take part. You can encourage your MP to support. You can be a part of the T-shirt campaign. So there is concrete things that we can do after today, because World Afro Day is one day, but you know, celebrating our hair, protecting our hair is a lifetime. So hopefully everyone can choose one thing that they want to do after today to help us. So that's it, everybody. Happy World Afro Day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for being part of it. Just, you know, each individual, you can say goodbye and thank you.
Bye. Happy World Afro Day, everybody.
Thank you again, ladies, for this interesting conversation. See you soon.
Thank you, Guylaine. Thank you, Jade. Thank you, Tashara, Georgina, and Charlene, and Mariah. Thank you, everybody. That's us. Happy World Afro Day.
Bye.